Welcome to a look into the future. What would you do if you can go into the future and ask yourself a question? Luckily, we can just ask the time traveler himself, Paul Latham, and learn the knowledge we need at our firms to evolve into advisory services and become the most relevant advisor to our clients. Paul brings three key things with him today. Number one, he built a successful accounting practice in the United Kingdom, so he understands accountants. In fact, he built his firm into an advisor powerhouse, which sold for $45 million in 2001. Number two, he's taken a business public, building it to a market value in excess of $400 million. So he really understands what business owners need and value and what we as accountants need to provide to them. And finally, and most importantly, number three, we don't need to invent time travel. We can just ask Paul and learn from the transition he made 20 years ago in the UK into providing business advisory services, as that trend is definitely here in the US today. I'm Garrett Wagner, your Entrepreneurial CPA Channel host, and I'm excited to be joined by the legendary Paul Latham of Hay & Rock Solutions. Now, Paul, I feel like we're really starting to move into some really interesting and deep, important topics for firms out there today about getting into advisory services. And I'm loving learning more about your system and process to do that. And I've been thinking a lot about since the last time we talked about the now, where, and how. And we concentrate a lot on the now. So once we get the now with our clients, I assume the next specs is going to be the where. And is the where kind of, I've heard a little bit about this vision workshop.
That's correct. Absolutely correct, Garrett. Having established the now, and if you remember, the business is probably in that place that I call the in-between zone, then the next step is the where, or establishing the vision. And I say to business owners all the time, would you ever get into your car and drive aimlessly? Well, almost certainly not, probably not, maybe on a Sunday afternoon. But many business owners drive their business without establishing the where they're planning on going. And really, it's no wonder, no surprise that most business owners fail to maximize their business potential. So, as I said previously, think about it like going on a journey. Unless the business owner is running a lifestyle business, or unless they're planning on going bust one day, first of all, they only have a choice, ultimately, between three business destinations, and one of those is highly unlikely. Essentially, it's very unlikely that they're going to plan to grow a public business. So that really only leaves two possible scenarios ultimately in terms of destination: sale or succession. And frankly, they're as different as chalk and cheese, as we would say in the UK. The easiest destination to plan for by far is an ultimate business sale. And that's because a business sale is a very structured route. In fact, there's only really one thing to remember. If you're planning to build a business that's going to be bought by somebody, then it needs to look like one that somebody will want to buy. And the truth is that there are very few things that a potential buyer is looking for. It's probably going to be some combination of products or service types, customer types, having clear business metrics, the type of people you employ, having an interesting business model, consistent processes, and a solid brand. So the truth is, there's only about 7 or 8 things to think about when you're shaping your vision in one of those vision workshops. Much harder destination to plan for is an ultimate succession plan. That's because it's a less structured, less predictable route. And the truth is, no two successions are the same. It's what I call a windy, twisty, idiosyncratic journey. But really it's all about creating a vision that's a win-win for the two parties involved, usually the older party who's retiring and the newer party who's coming into the business. So that's the starting point.
Now, what if you're working with a business owner and they're not sure if they want to do succession, sale?
Yeah,
what do you do?
And basically, it's a pretty common question. And what I always say to business owners is, if you're unsure between sale or succession, then my rule of thumb is to assume you're going to do a business sale, because it's actually much easier to plan for a sale and then pivot to a succession than go through some weird idiosyncratic planning around a succession and then try and pivot back to a sale. So yeah, always assume business sale.
Okay. Then what about else as well? What if it's a long ways off? What if they're going to say, hey, I'm not going to retire. Nothing's going to happen for maybe 10, 15 years. How does that change things?
Yeah, no, again, good question. And the Hayden Rock system actually builds this in because we ask a certain number of questions early on that establishes their time scale. And the truth is, by the way, it's never too early to begin to shape what you want your business to look like, particularly if you're planning for a sale and where it's eventually headed. But my rule of thumb is business owners, if you're less than 5 years away from an exit, so if you ask the question and they say, yeah, I want to sell this or do a succession in the next 5 years, then the whole of that vision workshop should be shaped around the destination strategy, because that's the most important thing for you. However, if the answer to that question is no, I'm at least 5 years away, or probably more than 5 years away from the eventual exit, then the vision workshop should most likely be shaped around what I would call a growth strategy. And then you begin to use concepts like only 4 ways to grow a business. But that's a whole different conversation.
Paul, I like it. I think it adds a good, once again, we're adding some great insight of things you've already done in the past, things you've already shaped with clients you know that works. And we're adding structure to this, what a lot of firms feel like is a confusing process of business advisory work. So as always, Paul, thank you for sharing the information. Hope everybody watching learned something. Now, I know something, Paul, you and I both talk about behind the scenes. We're always surprised to find that most CPA firms we talk with are not ready for the future. And more importantly, they don't even realize it. We believe you need to know today where you stand. Is your firm ready for the future? Are you ready to shift into becoming the most relevant advisor? Take a minute of your time. Sign up for your own biz survey. Get an objective, free assessment of how prepared your firm and you are for the future. It's a special offer for watching this show and getting your look into the future. We're going to provide you with the results of your biz score and a quick pub meeting, as Paul says, to review the results with the Hayden Rock Solutions team. A link is below no matter where you're watching this on social media. I encourage your firm to take the test. You have no excuse not to, and see how ready you are for the future. Thanks everybody for watching. Click to subscribe to our YouTube channel, get all the updates. And as always, we challenge you today to take action to change the world and invest in yourself.